Actually, it's this. No, this. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I think we're on. Are we? Yeah, seems to be. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this live on Bridges of Light International. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you, Bridges of Light. And thank you, Life. We're going to wait a little bit longer. And then we're going to be talking about today how to become spiritually and emotionally autonomous. Whatever that may mean. As always, if you want to ask questions, to comment, go ahead. And this title, this whatever we are going to be talking about today, this subject wasn't chosen by me. It was somebody that I can't remember, Bernice or Bernadette, I can't remember who it was. But somebody wrote to me. Hello, Carla. Ciao. Welcome. Somebody, hey, ciao, Marita. Good afternoon. Somebody after the live that I did last week, and the title was something like spiritual and emotional autonomy. And somebody then wrote to me, okay, could you please talk about how to become spiritually and emotionally autonomous? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's about the how to become autonomous. Let's clarify something for who wasn't here last week or hasn't watched last week live about the subject. By being spiritually and emotionally autonomous, I mean, and like as always, it's simply my opinion about this. I mean, to be in a state of responsibility. In other words, when we are autonomous, when we are responsible for what we believe spiritually, meaning what is that we believe ourselves to be, others to be, and life to be from a spiritual perspective. And to be emotionally autonomous means, again, to be responsible for how we feel, which means we are not dependent on situations or on other people to feel good or bad. Okay, so we are, let's say, in charge of our own spiritual and emotional life. Hello, Dennis. How to be spiritually autonomous? I think to be spiritually autonomous, we can become it by looking at what we believe, but more than just what we believe. In other words, who do we believe? Do we believe that we are a soul? Do we believe that we are spirits? Or do we believe that life is just one-off experience as nothing else? Or do we believe in reincarnation? And whatever we choose to believe, it becomes our knowingness when we autonomously and intentionally choose to believe it according to the life experience that we have had, and not because we have, let's say, read the Bible and it tells us something about life, or because we have been brought up being Christian Catholic or Buddhist or Muslim or whatever else, but it's because according to our own personal experience, we can either confirm or disconfirm, prove or disprove something that an outside source has told us about spirituality. I'll give you an example. I personally, nowadays, something that I didn't believe, let's say 20 years ago, I now believe that life is eternal. I do believe that we don't live just once. And although I don't believe my previous incarnations or the previous experiences that I had in this physical life, I feel and I think and I autonomously choose to believe that life is eternal. And why do I say this? I say this because of certain things that they actually did happen in my life. One of them, I think is probably the most powerful one, happened in 2002, when 6 years, hello Michele, 6 years after the death of my mom, someone that I didn't know in central London approached me and he told me, listen, I have to talk to you, I am a medium. And as soon as he started telling me this, my whole being, my whole body responded to what he was telling me in a very, very definite way. As I had goosebumps and tingling all over my body. In other words, something in me was telling me, be present, there is something important for you to understand here. So, and then he went on saying, there's someone here, it could be your mom, 6 years after her death. Hello, Chiara, hey, hello. And he says she's here, she wants me to tell you that she's absolutely fine. She would come down to help you in an instant, like she's always done. And by the way, 2 weeks before this encounter, I had been run over by a car because I had taken lots of drugs, because at the time I used to take lots of drugs. So I got run over by a car. So he said, she would come down to help you in an instant, like she's always done. But it's time for you to take responsibility over your life and to change your lifestyle. And he went on saying, be really careful from now up to the next 2 weeks, not to drink and drive and not to get into cars with people that have been drinking. Anyway, I haven't seen that guy since. He didn't ask me for money. And from that moment, I intentionally, and this is when the word autonomy comes into place. Hello, Ilaria. I chose intentionally to believe that what this man was telling me was true. And I started to open myself to the possibility that this life, it's not the only existence we have. In other words, that when our body ceases to exist, something of us still carry on. Because logically, if that man was not pulling my legs, something of my mom, her consciousness, was suggested to this man to speak to me. Okay, so I started to believe something that spiritually I hadn't even considered anymore. And then I'll tell you also why, another experience that I had that had me to believe that life is eternal and that we are spiritual being and not just physical being. It's when I had a session of hypnosis when I was regressed. And during this session, I remember I had this vivid image of myself being on a horse. And anyway, whatever I I could see was very, very, seems very real. And although after the session, I thought to myself, maybe it was just my imagination, but it had a different quality to it. But the reason why I actually thought that, yes, it was a previous lifetime is because it made sense and it explained some characteristics that I now have in this lifetime, which they seem to be very different from the one that I was expressing in that lifetime. Almost as if during that lifetime, because of the way I was feeling, I was very much burdened with responsibility and I had a very strong sense of duty. And they're all things that now I'm very well aware of, and I'm actually experiencing part of myself which are very different from what I experienced during the regressive session. So there was, again, something that made me choose autonomously to believe that spiritually life carries on, okay? So this is what I would explain how to be able to become spiritually autonomous, meaning exactly to base our own experience to what spirituality could be, okay? When it comes to being emotionally autonomous, then we are talking about a more practical way of being. I view it as. In other words, to be emotionally autonomous, it really means to take charge and responsibility to how we feel emotionally. And to be able to become emotionally autonomous, it implies that we stop believing that we are victims of circumstances or situations for us to feel good or bad. Because we understand that it's not what happened to us that makes us feel good or bad. It's not what other people do or don't do, tell us or don't tell us that produces our emotional state, but it's what we tell ourselves about what happens or what doesn't happen, about how people behave or don't behave, what people tell us or don't tell us. Hello, Adriana. Was I clear? In other words, and this is the key, I would say, to become emotionally autonomous, is to realize and acknowledge and then to actually notice that our emotions are produced, are triggered, not by what happens, but by what we tell us about what is happening. It is our interpretation. And very often it is either our negative judgment or our positive judgment that they generate our state of distress or anger or sadness or our joy or happiness. Okay? And how can we see that? How can we notice that it's not what happens to us, but how we interpret something that happens? Have you ever been in a situation when something happens, somebody tells you something, maybe a family member or your partner or a friend tells you something, maybe it's jokingly, it makes a remark about you, and for whatever reason, at that moment in time, you judge it as being a negative and you get triggered in a negative way. You get offended, you get angry maybe, and you tell yourself that he or she made you feel bad, right? And maybe you can remember when the same person, or maybe even somebody else, made the very same remarks, or the same situation happened, but for whatever reason, you were feeling calmer, you didn't judge it as negatively, maybe you even thought it was funny. Basically, you told yourself something different about that remark or about what happened, and you remain at peace. Or maybe even you saw it as being funny. Could you relate to that? So, if you have ever been in the same situation and you responded in a different way emotionally, that proves that it's never what happens to you that triggers your emotion, but it's whatever you tell yourself in that moment in time about what is happening that generates your emotions. Okay? So when we are clear about this, we have it. This is the secret. This is all we need to know. Of course, like everything we always talk about, easier said than done. Because all these assumptions, all these negative or positive judgments that we attribute about people or circumstances are very, very fast. We are not even aware of it. So instead of being aware of the interpretation of the mind mechanism that most of the time is unconscious, we are aware of the emotions. So we feel the emotions and we immediately attribute the cause of it to what happens to us. Hey Lola, yeah, I hope you learn English so you will understand more properly. But I'm going to speak slowly anyway, but I like talking slowly because I think even for somebody that speaks English, and even when I speak in Italian, when I remember to do it, I feel and think that speaking slowly gives the opportunity to people to understand the meaning of what I'm saying more efficiently. Basically, my words would land in you at a deeper level than if I was talking very fast. Does it make sense? So there's a reason why I speak slowly. But yes, going back to understanding and knowing how to become emotionally independent, it all lies in the realization that whatever is happening, it's neutral. In other words, nothing, and I truly mean nothing in life has any meaning whatsoever. We attribute meanings to everything. But very often, the meaning that we attribute to something are not chosen by us at that moment, but they are meanings that we acquired growing up, meanings that others told us, or maybe they're based on our past experiences. And even before we can think of what meaning we could attribute to the here and now, to what is happening now, our conditioning is already generated an emotion, and when we feel a strong emotion, we haven't got the ability to think straight. Hello, Chiara. I'm not sure what you mean by neutral, but thank you for giving us that word, because one of the most productive state of being to be emotionally autonomous would exactly be able to be neutral, to be in a neutral state of being. What do I mean by neutral? By neutral, I mean not judging anything, not saying to ourselves, oh, this is good or this is bad, this is right or this is wrong. But being neutral, it's a very, very powerful state of being, because when we are able to be neutral, we are totally present, and we look, we listen, we observe, and we're not telling us anything about what is. We allow whatever is unfolding in front of us to be, okay? And we know that it is our interpretation, our judgment that could define whatever is happening as being something or other, meaning it could be good or could be bad, it could be right or could it be wrong. I'll give you an example. I'll tell you the story, which I've probably told many times before, but this is very appropriate for what we are telling you now, and it's a very powerful story because it's the story of a true master, somebody that can really be neutral, like Chiara, you're writing. This old man, this farmer, is living with his son in the countryside, and they have one horse. One day, the horse goes missing. It goes missing. So the neighbors go to the old man and they tell him, oh, we're really, really sorry. You are so unlucky. This is so bad, isn't it? And the old man looks at them and goes, is it so? Who knows? Maybe yes, maybe no. Well, a week later, the horse comes back with other 20 horses. So now the old man and his son, they have 21 horses. So of course the neighbors go to him and tell him, oh, you're so lucky, this is wonderful. And the old man, again, being neutral as he was, goes, knowing that it could be regarded as being good or being bad, he says, is it good or is it bad? Who knows? We will see. Well, a week later, one of the horses kicked the son in his leg. And he broke his leg. So his son has got a broken leg. So the neighbors go to the old man and tell him, oh, you are so unlucky. This is so bad. You're so unfortunate. And the old man looks at them and goes, is it so? Who knows? Maybe yes, maybe no. Well, a month later, the country goes into war. But his son didn't have to go to war because he had a broken leg. And again, the story continues. Did you get the point? But what is determining, what is very important in being neutral, in not judging anything as being good or being bad, is that when we are neutral, hello Maria, we allow the flow of life to carry us where is most appropriate for us to go, and it's easier for us to do anything really, to live. Because we are always balanced in between ourselves, and we are not polarizing, meaning we are not giving or subtracting energy to anything that happens to us. Because, whenever we judge something as being negative, and when we judge something as being negative, then we generate negative emotions. We think, oh, that's bad, that shouldn't happen. This emotion, this energy that goes out is already generating something that we do not like, okay? So, and the more we do that, the more we become victims, or what we think it's out there, because then we attract negative things to us. But we don't realize that we are actually generating this negativity because of the energy, the vibration that we put out there. If we are able to be neutral, we we will see if we are, if we can be neutral for long enough, we will see that whatever was upsetting us before now is not accepting us anymore, or not so much. And I'll tell you why. Because we then realize that it's not what happens to us, but it's our negative judgment. It's our taking a stand, saying this is bad, this shouldn't have happened, that generates our emotional state. When we understand that, then we are on the way to becoming emotionally autonomous. Do I make any sense? Hello, Giovanna. But please, let me know if what I'm saying resonates with you, if it makes sense, or if it doesn't make sense. If you want to give us an example, if you want to share an experience you had about when you realize that it was your interpretation about something, or if you're watching this not live, think about a situation when you realized that it wasn't what happened that made you feel bad, but it was your negative judgment, your negative interpretation. And really think about it and reflect. So if you can see that from feeling bad about a situation, you could not judging negatively, or you could actually interpret it or judge it in a positive way. You could interpret it in a different way, and you change your emotion about the situation. Then in that instant, you expressed how to be emotionally independent. And you can do it, and this is the invitation, you can do it any and every time something happens to you. Okay, but we'll get back to it. I want to see what Chiara's written. Oh, Chiara's written, to be neutral, impossible. Oh, you think it's impossible for you to be neutral? Oh, really? Okay, if you say so, I believe you. But, okay, Chiara, have you ever been in a situation when you went from feeling really mad, meaning really angry about something that has happened, or angry towards someone, and then because you thought about it again, and maybe you change your perspective a little bit, and your emotional reaction was not as strong, was not as negative, was not as powerful? This is a question for you. Let me know if that has ever happened. Hello, Helga. And while I wait for your reply, Chiara, I would like to carry on saying that anything and everything has got at least two faces, like this coin. You see, which actually has got even more than two. It's got, oh, where is the camera? It's got this face, and it's got this other face, and it's got actually something in the middle. You see, it's also a side. It's small, but it's a side. This is physically showing to us, demonstrating to us that perspective, the perspective we have on something can change according to the way I look at something, or the way I turn the situation in a way or another. I can see a different side of it. You see, for example, we were in a relationship, and the person we were with, that we were very much in love with, leaves us, okay? We could be upset, we could be very angry, and we could be telling us, oh, that person doesn't love me. I feel bad because that person doesn't love me. Okay, that's one interpretation, okay? But then we could think, actually, that person is loving me because is realizing that I am not the one for her or him, okay? So he or she is giving me the opportunity to be free and to find myself somebody that loves me as much as I could love her or him. Do I make sense? So according to what I tell myself about the situation and about that person, my emotion changes. Because in this situation, for example, would we want to be in a relationship with somebody that doesn't love us the way we would like to be loved? Probably no. So ultimately, they have done us a favor. They have been loving towards us. You see what I mean? Because again, nothing means anything except the meaning we give it to the situation. Even if something, for example, has happened to us, like we lost a job, we could be upset because we lost a job. But then, if we really think about it, we could see what we gained from it. We definitely gained more experience about life, about maybe even if nothing else, how to deal with the loss of a job we loved. Or we have had the opportunity to find a job that we like even more, or we have more time for ourselves. Hello, Natasha, welcome. Do you see what I mean? It's all about having I like to regard it as being a flexible, fluid, and creative mind. In other words, if we have a mind that is fluid, that is able to tell itself different things about the same situation, and is flexible, it's about to consider the same situation from different angles, meaning loss of a job, more time for myself, more time for my family, more time for my hobby, more time for, okay, you see what I mean? From the negative, you see everything positive that can come from it. And you will find many other things because, again, nothing is set in stone. So when we are able to use our mind creatively in different ways, in ways that goes out from the fixed, hello Alessio, the fixed interpretation that it attributed it to the situation automatically, that's it. We then become emotionally autonomous because we realize that our thoughts fuel our emotions, you see? And when we have made that connection from being a vicious circle, meaning automatic thoughts generate automatic emotions, and the negative cycle goes on and on and on because we spiral down going negatively. When we realize that, hey, wait a moment, I can think something different about the same situation. I can think another thought. I can look at the situation from a different angle. And when I do that, and when I feel a different emotions, which maybe it's less unpleasant. Maybe at the beginning I was feeling raging furious about something that happened or something that somebody did. And then maybe I look at the situation again and I think, but maybe that person treating me in that way because he or she in that moment in time was going through a particular moment in his life, or the consciousness that he or she was in was of a certain kind because of his past experiences and his upbringing. He was feeling very angry within himself and herself. So they were projecting that anger towards me. So we start by understanding why something has happened. And with that understanding, maybe our anger subdued a little bit. Maybe we feel, okay, well, I can understand, I am less angry now. You see, and that is the start of the process of becoming emotionally autonomous. Because if we get into the habit of doing this, it will come, and I can assure you that that day will come when something happened, and even though, and that's what happens to me nowadays, even though maybe subconsciously you feel angry straight away, then you're able to step back and tell yourself, okay, wait a moment. Now, when I feel angry about something and I realize it, I tell myself, okay, Luca, 1 second, what is it that I am judging negatively in this situation? And why am I judging negatively whatever is happening? And then when I realize that, I can see that my emotion, it's not generated by what happened, but it's generated by my negative judgment. And normally the underlying thoughts from which every negative emotions and frustration springs, it says, this shouldn't have happened. Life should be different. He or she should have behaved differently. Okay? But this is our wishful thinking. This is our illusion. This is wishing life to be in a certain way. But life, it's only the way it can be. Most of the time, it's not how we would like it to be. So it's up to us, if we choose to become emotionally autonomous, to realize that either we understand, recognize, and accept circumstances and people as they are, and we can see the perfection of the process, or we will suffer. But that suffering, I repeat it until the penny drops, it's not produced by what's happening or by what people do or don't do, but it's produced by what we tell us about it. But I'm looking forward to read what Chiara has written. Chiara says, I'm positive or negative, but not neutral. Because for me, neutral means to be without feelings. Ah, okay. Do you understand? The life is feeling for me. Whoa, thank you for clarifying that, Chiara. Okay. Now, the state of neutrality that I am referring to, it's not a emotionless state of being. It's not a detached state of being. I'm not talking about being cold or not caring or not feeling, okay? The state of being I'm referring to, it's actually a state of presence. It's a state in which we are so present that all of the emotions, so to speak, are there. So it's not a particular emotions as such. It is a state where the energy of all emotions, which could be anger or love, appreciation or hate or frustration, it's all there. It's really difficult to put into words. I don't really know how to understand. It's a state of, it's a very stable state. It's a state when I'm stable, when I know I'm almost nothing and no one could throw me off my balance, my center, okay? But yes, it's not happiness like, oh my gosh, it's not excitement. No, it's a very good, if I had to put it as compare it to an emotion, it would be definitely more, it would be a positive emotion. It would be more than happiness. It would be a joyful contentment. That's how I would describe it. But it's a state of energetic stability. I don't know if I am expressing myself well, because I'm trying to put into words what I don't think can truly be put into words. But one thing that I can tell you is that this state of being that I am referring to, I have, and I keep building it up over time. And what helped me, and is still helping me to generate this state of neutrality, it's the mental process is what we're talking about, is the realizing that I can regard something as being good or bad, so I can judge it being good or bad, and according to the judgment value that I attribute to what's happening, I can feel either bad or good, okay? Angry or happy. So that's the mental process that I go through to get to the place of neutrality, because then when you truly understand this, then my mind is free. I'm free to use my mind and give it to the meaning to something that I want to. And of course, why would I want to attribute a negative feeling to something that has already happened, and if I don't like it, I may just as well to attribute it a positive feeling. Do you know what I mean? If something, let's say a glass broke on the floor, it's already broken. What's good of me saying, oh my gosh, and it's terrible? If I feel terrible, okay, but then I think, okay, that's fine. You know what? Now I can buy myself another glass, and I clean it up and I feel good. You see, I told myself something else about what has happened. I'm not stuck in the negative judgment. But something else that I do, it's stimulating presence. And Chiara, you are doing it with me, the course that we are doing on Friday evening. That's what I am stimulating you to do, to be more present, transcending, attributing any meanings to what's happened. Then, of course, also meditating regularly, formally, has helped me, and it still helps me a lot when I sit and I simply, I train myself to listen, to feel, to observe what may be my breath. I listen to what's happening around me, and all I'm doing is listen and feel, without telling myself anything, just by feeling, okay? And I train myself just to look and be present. By doing this, again, this has allowed me to get into this state of neutrality that I talk about. But it's something that if we are not, well, I know I wasn't able to do this years ago, because I wasn't used to. I was too into my mind. I was too much into my thinking. So if we are not used to be present, if we are not used to simply observe without telling us anything about what is happening, automatically our mind overrides the fact that we are present. I give you an example. I don't know you, Chiara, how much your state of presence is, but I know there are people sometimes that they speak, or even if they don't speak, you can tell that they're thinking. And they are not really, because they're thinking so much, they are not able to be present. They're not really able to truly see and take in what's happening, because they're commenting. They're more into their mental commentary than into what's happening. I was one of them. Before 2002, I was more into, I like to regard life as this. Life happens outside from us. Like, let's say there's the telephone, that is you outside, and there's everything that is material, that is materialistically, physically outside from me. But between the outside life, the concrete life, and myself, it's as if there is a invisible screen, which is my mental activity, upon which there's our thoughts, there's things that my mind tells me that I can hear maybe, There's images of the past or projection about the future, but basically in this invisible screen, there's things going on that they are interposed, they are between what is actually out there and me. And so my attention before 2002 was always prominently and sometimes almost all on the screen. So if things were happening or somebody was talking to me, I was sort of noticing what's happening and listening to them, but I was more into my judgment, my comments about it, okay? And in my emotional reaction to what was happening. Nowadays, it's the opposite. In other words, yes, I'm still aware of what I am thinking or what I am projecting on the invisible screen, but I am mostly focused upon what is happening outside. And I am more concerned about really trying to understand what I see, and then I feel something, or maybe not. Maybe now I don't feel emotionally so much like I was before, although I still, the emotion I feel are more positive, definitely very little negative, but they are more autonomous, so to speak. I know what I'm feeling because I know what I like and I know what I don't like. I don't know if I'm expressing myself to you all, but especially to Chiara. Because you say, the life is feeling for me. Yes, but what I'm talking about, it's not a feelingless life, but it's a different kind of feeling. It's a feeling that doesn't go towards, oh, I like this or I don't like this. It's good or it's bad, okay? It's a more of a perceiving, and it's just a different feeling. It's almost as if I am liking most of the things that happens to me. It's almost as if I'm more of a positive, stable, positive feeling, which it's sometimes it can be really excited, and sometimes it's not so exciting, but it's still good and it's stable. But it's still good and stable even when before things were throwing me off balance. I was thinking, oh, I don't like this. Or do I make any sense? But Natasha is writing. Sometimes I think more of the wrong suffered, of the offense, of the but it's not right. He was allowed to do this to me. Like this to me who always behave well, etc. And I enter a vicious circle that is difficult to stop. I totally understand what you mean. Instead of thinking about the episode, staying here and now. Yes, if I understood well, Natasha, you're writing that you get into this negative loop, is in this vicious cycle, as you say. Yes, that is difficult to stop. You tell yourself that they should have, this is not right, he wasn't allowed to do this, he should have done that. Absolutely, exactly. This is exactly what fuels our emotions, okay? It's not what happened anymore, because what happened anymore is happened, is there. Why don't we leave it there? But it's because we're still carrying the past with us. And when we do that, we are not emotionally autonomous. We are still slave of the past. But it's not even the past, it's our mental conditioning. Hello, Jessica. It's our mental conditioning. I'll tell you another story, which I might have told you before, which gives the idea of how dependent we are and not emotional autonomous, or how we can be emotionally autonomous. There is this master, this Zen master, with his disciple. They're walking through, let's say, the forest. They come to a point where there's a little river. There's a little river with water, and there's a lady, and she asks the master, "Can you please help me, helping me to go to the other bank of the river where you're going, because I can't make it on my own." Okay, so the master doesn't even think about it twice. He takes the lady in his arm Annie goes and takes her to the other side of bank of the river. He let her down and off she goes. Now, the disciple, when they get to the other side of the river, when the lady goes, he starts nagging the master, saying, Master, you should know better. You know that one of our rules is that we are not allowed to have physical contacts with females. So you have just broken a golden rules. And the master doesn't say anything. He keeps on walking. Again, 10 minutes later, but master, this is so important. I really don't understand how you could do this. Our golden rule is that we shouldn't have any physical contact with a lady. And he goes on and on again, okay? After about, let's say, half an hour, the master hasn't said a word. When again, the disciple goes, but master, how could you do that? Then the master turns to the disciple, he looks at him in the eyes and goes, listen, I have left the lady at the bank of the river. You are still carrying it with her. You are still carrying her with you. He said, I left the lady. I know I got her in my arms. I know I got hold of her, but I left her at the bank of the river half an hour ago. You are still carrying her with you. Can you see? The master is emotionally free, emotionally autonomous. He is here and now. It's not bound anymore by what happened, because he's not telling himself anything about it anymore. He's present. This is what I mean by a state of neutrality. If in the here and now, nothing is disturbing me, why should I be upset? Guys, it's all in our head. But if we are upset here and nobody is physically harming me or insulting me, I am doing it to myself. Or in other words, actually, my conditioning is doing it to myself. Can you see it? Do you know what I mean? But that's how we do it. But this is the good news. We do it until now, until we realize what we are doing. This is awareness. Awareness is very powerful. It's magic. We cannot solve a problem until we see that it's a problem. Up to now, this nagging or feeling bad about something that happened 10 minutes ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago, it's ridiculous. Guys, wake up. It's our thinking that produces our emotion, not what's happening to us. But this is the big choice. What do you choose? Do you choose to be a victim? Do you choose to go on the roller coaster of being sad because something happened in the past? Or do you choose to be here and now and happy? Which it doesn't mean you don't feel upset. But nowadays, for example, if I feel upset, it's because you are doing something right here, right now to me. And then I may get upset and I tell you, hey, Chiara or Natasha or whoever, I don't like that. I am upset. I do it, I let it out, I told you. Forgotten. 10 minutes later, boom, boom, I am, this is what I mean, in my neutral state. I'm neutral. My emotions, I'm present. Until something happens that disrupts my neutrality, I am okay. If I am not neutral, it's because I am still attached to something. Do I make any sense? Of course, it could be also positive. But if you do it in a positive way, why not? Meaning, I had a wonderful time with you, Chiara, and Natasha, for example, and in an hour time, I am still reminding myself of the wonderful time we had, and I'm still playing that wonderful movie, and I'm still feeling joyful. That's wonderful. But you see, if I do this intentionally, I'm choosing it, and I am emotionally autonomous. But I'm choosing to use my power of thinking to generate and memory to generate the positive emotions. So here is the invite. If you feel a negative emotion, unless you want to, but this is clear, because some people like to live the drama. I mean, if some people that they love to live the drama, they want, even if nothing is happening around them, they want to feel bad, go ahead, play your horror movie as long as you want. But do it intentionally. But if you do it and you don't like the movie, you don't like how you feel, think about this word. Look over and over and over to this live until the penny drops, until you think, gosh, why am I doing this to me? Do I make any sense? But thank you for sharing what you are sharing, guys. This is an important thing. Hello, Maria. Hello, Patty. Hello, Katia. Ciao, Jessica. Natasha. Yes. I hope I expressed it in a clear enough way what I mean. But going back and summarizing everything, you are doing everything to you emotionally. I'm serious. And I know sometimes people don't like this, and I know emboli partono, the embols, I don't know the English word for that. This triggers very like, angering people, because, but it's true. And my job here, my intention is to create masters. I want you to be the master of your emotional state. I want you to be autonomous. Why do I want you to be autonomous? Because you are doing me a favor as well. Because if you become autonomous, you can choose to feel good. And if you feel good, I feel good, because you and me are one. In other words, you look like you and I look like me, but that's the physical illusion. In other words, we are connected. We are energetically, vibrationally connected. So I can assure you that if I feel bad, directly or indirectly, the field will have you to feel negatively as well. Maybe not as much as I'm feeling, but I would affect the field. And you, my field, of course. Natasha's writing, sometimes I'm sad or upset and decide to think about something positive. And even if I have to make efforts, I change my mood. Thank you, Natasha. This is exactly what I was talking about. Exactly. Hello, Elena. Exactly. It's a choice. Remember these two words always when you feel bad. Intentional choice. What is the intentional choice that I make now about the way I feel? I know, easier said than done. I know, because people may have done things to us that they truly upset us. And maybe when that happens, we didn't have the critical faculty to reason like we are doing now. But that was before, that was yesterday, that was years ago maybe. And now let's use this power, let's use this autonomy. I know it's work, I know it's an effort, I know it doesn't come automatically and not even easily, but trust me, it is well worth doing it, really. And I am inviting you to do it, because you don't only do it for you, you do it for us all. Because it is about us all. It's no more about me and about you. It's always about us, when we truly understand how life works. Well, I think, what time is it? The hour is gone, very fast as always. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. I love you very much, and I'm gonna see you very, very soon. Ciao, good night.